Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we will be taking a look at my 2020 presidential election prediction as of the 22nd of June 2020. Now, a lot has changed since I last did a video, and the nationwide has just been going more and more and more in favour of Biden, as you see here at the bottom, steadily increasing. It's kind of plateaued a bit here but started increasing again. Fox News has Biden up 12, but obviously there's a margin of error on that, so I think it's around 10 on the lowest scenario. But when Fox News has Biden up by so much, it's never a good sign. And he's breached the 50% mark in the Real Clear Politics average, which is crucial. If he gets over 50% of the vote, I reckon he's almost guaranteed to win the election, in my opinion. Unless all of those votes are concentrated in California, New York, and not spread out enough into states like Michigan, Pennsylvania. But if you get over 50% of the popular vote, it's got to be doing something right, and so he probably would pick up Michigan, Pennsylvania, etc. But this is my presidential election prediction. Obviously things are getting worse and worse for Trump when debates occur, which I think the Biden campaign is actually trying to get out of, which is pretty funny. When the debates occur, obviously, and the convention boost, it'll probably get tighter, or maybe it'll just go up proportionally with each other and keep the same gap. But it's not looking good for Trump at the moment. Obviously he will recover from this. It's definitely not going to be the substantial. Best case scenario in my opinion, probably around 5-6 points in favour of Biden, and that's if everything goes right for him. And realistically in the debates it probably won't. Trump will probably win in the debates, because he is a good debater, and there's nothing about it. Whether you like him or hate him, you've got to admit he is a good talker. He can talk himself out of scenarios, and he can definitely downplay his opponent to the electorate. Now, let's go into my presidential election prediction. So obviously there will be the safe states. Pretty normal. I say this every time. You've seen this before. Oh, Oregon is not red. I can promise you that. There. Okay, so the only thing I would say, South Carolina and Mississippi would be likely. Increased African American turnout would definitely bring it below the 15-point mark. But probably around 13-14 points, so nothing too far, and it would definitely still be unlikely. It wouldn't go lean, it wouldn't be competitive. It's just with increased African American turnout, I do think they would go into the likely column, but pretty substantial margin. They are not competitive, they are not swing states. It's just, I feel like I should point that out for you. Okay, so let's go on to the state of Nevada. I think Nevada will still be lean. I don't think it will slip further enough to the left in this election. It'll probably be similar to Arizona. Actually, no, I think Nevada will be further to the left than Arizona. I think Arizona will probably be on 1-2 points in favour. Speaking of which, I'll put that in the lean. I'll talk about them. These four states very Latino heavy in comparison, and Arizona, I reckon around 1-2 points in the Dems, because it will narrow up. The Real Clear Politics have Arizona at 4 points at the moment, but I do think it will be closer than 4. It'll probably be 1 or 2. I agree with that one, making that lean. But Nevada, I do think will go to Joe Biden by around 3-4 points. The polls have him at 4 as well. Actually, that's quite surprising. But I do think it is very probable for Joe Biden to win by 4 points in the election. However, he will not breach the 5% mark. It will not be a safe state by any means. He will definitely have to focus these states. He'll have to visit Nevada. Nevada is not safe Democrat. He will need to visit there. He'll need to go to Arizona as well. But in contrast, Colorado, New Mexico probably won't have to. Maybe he'll want to, but he won't have to necessarily. I think they will both go to win by pretty substantial margins. Colorado by about 8 points. New Mexico maybe 9. But they're becoming more and more secure for the Dems, and especially with increased Latino turnout for Joe Biden, definitely going to help him in New Mexico and Colorado. And if the Bernie supporters come out, especially in Colorado, he can definitely get that more and more secure as the elections go on for the Dems. If things stay as they are in the political landscape and the Democrats stay left and the Republicans stay right as they are, these states, New Mexico in particular, could be safe for Joe Biden or not Joe Biden, whoever the Democrat nominee is in 2024, which I don't think will be Joe Biden if Joe Biden wins. I think he'll step down after one term and his vice president, whether that be Kamala Harris, Val Demings, will take over. I do think it should be Kamala Harris in my opinion, but that's for another video. So these states pretty secure for the Dems. He may want to go there once, maybe, but they're pretty secure. I wouldn't really waste too much money here, or spend too much money. It's not a waste by any means. A vote is a vote at the end of the day. But Arizona, definitely he'll want to target. I think it will go to the Dems. It's trending blue, but he will need to go there. I'm sure Trump will be trying to bring Arizona back into the Republican hands as well, or try and keep it there, but Joe Biden should definitely target it down. Next, we move on to the state of Texas. Now, I think Texas will be a lean state, probably around 4 points. It won't be too competitive there. It won't be like the 2018 Senate election, because Joe Biden doesn't have the time, money, or resources to go to every single county in Texas like the Democrat nominee did. But it will definitely get closer in this election. It's trending to the left, but just not too substantially, and it will probably get around 4 or 5 points, classifying it in the lean margin. If Joe Biden can bring out the people in the suburbs, in key cities like Houston, Dallas, then he could definitely get it around 3 points maybe, but it will not be able to flip in this election by any means. I do think Texas is pretty secure, but both parties, I think, in Joe Biden's campaign strategy, he says he's going to try and change the votes here in Georgia and Texas, which is pretty key, but they are trending to the left. But Donald Trump will definitely need to go there and secure it. Next is Nebraska second. I do think Donald Trump will hold on to Nebraska second by a tilt margin. If it keeps getting worse and worse for Trump, I'd classify that as a tilt Democrats, but at the moment I still think Nebraska's first will go to Joe Biden. I don't know Donald Trump, sorry. I don't know too much about Nebraska's first. I don't really know much about Nebraska, but I do believe that Nebraska's second will still go to Trump in this, well, not scenario, but in the election. Next, we come on to the state of Minnesota. Now, I'm teetering on the edge of likely and lean. I'm actually going to put it in lean. I reckon it'd be around 4 or 5 points. Similar to Texas, but for the Democrats. I think Minnesota will be pretty secured for the Democrats, but like it won't flip to Republican, but it will be kind of a close race. The polls have it around like 5.5, I think. Last time I checked. Wait, Minnesota 6. Okay, that's not true. What is this? Minnesota 16? No way, 16. Blimey. Okay, well, yeah, I'm not trusting that by any means, but I think it will be a lean margin, probably around 4 or 5 points. It's, like I said, similar to Texas. He'll want to visit there just to secure it, but it will be secure for him. But it won't breach the likely mark, similarly to Nevada. In my opinion, if things keep getting worse as they are doing for Trump, he just needs to keep quiet. Really, it probably will flip too likely, in my opinion. But we shall see when we get there. Now, next is the state of Iowa, which I think will be likely. The polls, I think, have him up by quite a bit. If I go back around states and Iowa, only up by 1.5. Wow. Wow. But I actually do think it will still be a likely margin on come election day. This is because Iowa went to Trump by a pretty substantial margin. It will do again, despite 2018 where 3 out of 4 House seats went to Democrats. I do think Iowa will stay red by a pretty substantial margin. If things again keep getting worse for him come election day, I could see it going to lean, but this is not a state that's going to flip. he should just Joe Biden should focus his resources elsewhere in the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, as they will decide the election, as well as Arizona and Florida, but less so, more in the Rust Belt areas. Next we'll do, because I always do this, the pair Ohio and Iowa. Ohio I actually put in the lean. Joe Biden resonates with these 4 states voters a lot more than Hillary did, and come election day Ohio will probably be around 3-4 points. But it will not go to Joe Biden, despite the polls I think saying it will. Well, the 538 polls said they will. These polls still have Donald Trump up. There's not much data to go off really, but I do think it will go to Donald Trump by an okay margin, not too high. But Ohio has voted with the president, like whoever will become the president. Ohio has voted with for the past 60 years, I think. So it'll be a shame to see that broken, if it is broken, but we shall see come election day. Next we'll do the state of Virginia. I am pretty happy putting this in the likely column. It's going to be secure for them, especially considering Biden is an establishmentarian. The place in the Northeast will definitely vote for him in droves, and it's becoming more and more Democrat, and it could definitely be safe come 2028 if things stay as they are. So yeah. Now let's go to the Northeast, the state of New Hampshire. I'm actually going to put this in the lean column for Joe Biden. I don't think New Hampshire will get likely either way. If it goes to Trump, it will be by a tilt margin, but if it goes to Biden, it'll probably be around 2-3 points. In my opinion, I think New Hampshire will probably, come election day, probably set a precedent for what the election is going to be like. Like if Trump somehow wins New Hampshire, it's pretty bad overview on the election. Obviously, the 4 electoral points don't decide it, but it will reflect pretty badly on Joe Biden's chances at the presidency overall, in my opinion. That doesn't mean he's doomed if he loses it, but it does not reflect too greatly. Next is Maine at large, which I think will be likely. It's pretty self-explanatory. I think it will just be pretty secure in the likely column, but it will not go down to lean. It will not be safe. Now is the Maine 2nd district. I think that Donald Trump will definitely pick this up. I think Joe Biden will definitely be able to bring back some of those Obama voters that all went to Donald Trump pretty much in the state, but he won't be able to bring back enough, as people do actually like Donald Trump in this country, despite his approval rating dipping further and further. He will still retain Maine 2nd district, and will continue to hold on to that in the Northeast. If it's any other candidate, Republican candidate, they wouldn't have won that. Only Trump could have won Maine 2nd district, and he did. So that is something good he has done. Now let's go on to the state of Georgia, which I think will again be lean. It's similar. It's basically identical to Texas in my opinion, but it will probably be around 3-4 points rather than 4-5. It will go to Republicans, but in 2024, 2028, if someone like Kamala Harris is on the ticket, she could definitely appeal in the state of Georgia, and definitely could help gain some of the African American support over and make them turn out more. But it will still go to Donald Trump, despite any efforts Joe Biden may put into it. Honestly, I believe he should focus on other states. He should focus on Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, and Minnesota, as well as New Hampshire. Maybe Nebraska 2nd district, but that's only 1 electoral point. It's not the most important thing in the world. And maybe North Carolina, but not to a big of extent, because I think he would probably have better chances of winning the Rust Belt. So let's come on to the state of North Carolina, which I still think would be a tilt Donald Trump. Now the polls, I believe, have him up by 1, or up by 0.6. So actually proves my tilt. But I think that North Carolina will get closer with increased African American turnout. That will definitely help in this state for Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden will increase African American turnout to around, share of the vote to around 92%. I think he definitely could. I think Obama got like 95, but Joe Biden won't be able to resonate that much with him. But he will definitely be able to increase the percentage share, especially with BLM going on and coronavirus and all that. It will definitely help him in that department. But I still think North Carolina would go to Joe Biden. Whether Donald Trump, whether there's a Senate race out that goes to the Dems, that's another question for another day. But I still think North Carolina will stay red. Obama only won it because it was almost a fluke year. He won Indiana. John McCain was not a good opponent, and so that's why he won that state. I don't believe he won it in 2008. So that just goes to show how bad of a candidate John McCain was, and how good of a candidate on paper Obama was. I'm not going to go into whether I liked Obama or not. That's a question for another time. Next, we shall go on to the state of Michigan, which I'm actually pretty safe in putting into lean column for Joe Biden. The polls definitely overestimating them, but they are early polls. Have them up by 8, the poll has them up by 16. It will not be those margins. It will probably be around 4 points maximum. But I'm pretty confident with Michigan. Michigan will probably go to Joe Biden by a pretty substantial margin. Well, not substantial, relative to 2016, because the people there will probably flip back to Joe Biden, as they are probably, like I've said, with BLM going on and coronavirus and everything, not going well for Trump and his comments on helping on Twitter. So I am pretty confident with Michigan. That's the only state I'm confident about putting in these three. We're going to the state of Wisconsin next, which I think, come election day, see, these are big toss-up ones. Actually, Pennsylvania, I can put tilt Democrat, giving them the election this time. I do think, despite Trump's appeal in western Pennsylvania, he will have lost a lot of his support in eastern Pennsylvania, especially around Philadelphia. I'm pretty sure Philadelphia's over there. Making Joe Biden pretty much not secure the state, but I think he'll pick it up. It will be a tilt margin. He'll definitely need to go there a lot. Michigan as well. That's not secured for him just because I put it in the lean column. But if he visits there and rallies his support group base, he could definitely pick him up. And I'm pretty sure they have around 10% African American populations or voter base, and that will definitely help him there if it's increased turnout, which I do think it will be. I think it was 59% in 2016. He'll definitely increase that, and I do think that will lead to Pennsylvania going blue. Let's go on to the state of Florida. I'm actually comfortable giving that to Joe Biden by a tilt margin, because he will bring back a lot of the elderly voters there. Although Florida is almost a wild card state, they've allowed 1 million new voters. It'll be interesting to see where they go, but I'm pretty confident putting that in favour of Joe Biden at the moment. Come election day, that could be different though, because Trump will probably recover from this dip in support in nationwide. It will not continue to get worse for him. There comes a point where it can't get much worse. I think that anyway. And I mean, if coronavirus ends, he's definitely lost a lot of baggage onto his campaign, really. So we shall look and see in the future. So in Florida, I'm pretty confident giving to Joe Biden at the moment, but that will probably be subject to change. I can definitely see Donald Trump picking Florida back up later on, but at the moment, as of today, the 22nd of June, it is probably going to be a Democrat state. Now we go on to the state of Wisconsin. I'm not too sure about Wisconsin. I could see it going red, I could see it going blue, but at the moment it would probably go blue Democrat, because of coronavirus and everything. Wisconsin didn't have as big African American communities as Michigan, Pennsylvania, but if he can just bring them out, I reckon he would pick up the state. If he can bring them out in bigger numbers, he'll pick up the state. So, and at the moment everything is bad for Trump, so that's why this is so substantial in favour of Joe Biden. I do believe that this is subject to change. Like, for example, Donald Trump could definitely pick up Wisconsin. Donald Trump could definitely pick up Pennsylvania. I'm not saying that out of the picture. I'm saying if I had to label them one way at the moment, I would give them to the Dems because of everything that's going on. However, come election day, this will probably change. It definitely will. Trump will not lose by this big of a margin unless things continue to get worse. If Trump can recover, which he probably will from the debates and everything like that, he'll probably get himself out of this. Will he win a state like Michigan? He definitely has a fighting chance at Michigan. I think he definitely should spend time there, and he definitely could pick up Michigan. This is just at the moment. This is not this is not in November. This is now. But this will definitely change. 100% change. I do not believe Biden will win by such a big margin. I don't think he's that good of a candidate. He is a good candidate for the Dems. He's a popular, well-known person, but he's not this big of a candidate to win by such substantial margins. Like Ohio could definitely go back into likely, Florida could flip, Pennsylvania could flip, Wisconsin could flip, Michigan could flip, Arizona in fact could flip. So this is definitely subject to change. This is not definite. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Tell me what you thought in the comments. Nothing rude, but feel free to give me some criticisms, and I will make sure to reply to all of you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care and goodbye.